Hi, welcome back to Vague Ramblings and another edition of Vague Releasing. Arrow has announced their September releases, and some people were sort of complaining that it's like, well, how come there aren't more horror titles, especially some of the ones that they've hinted at before. I'm guessing a lot of the horror ones they're saving for the October one, which would be announced at the end of July. But for September, do have some interesting titles, at least. I mean, you do have now for the UK only, you do have, what is it? Incident in the Ghost Land, which is from the director of Martyrs. And you do have Heathers, which is from the brand new 4K restoration. Don't know whether or not Heathers is going to get a US release from Arrow or from another company. I believe the rights issues as to who has the rights to Heathers in the UK is different than who has it in the US, but you never know, because sometimes there have been a couple titles that Arrow has released in the UK first, and then they've come out from them later on in the US. So find out about that. But whoever releases it here, I'm hoping it is from the 4K remaster. Now, for the ones that are multiple region releases, we do have the Pajama Girl case, which is a Giallo with Ray Milland, which is coming out. I've never seen it, and I do like my Giallo, so I'm looking forward to seeing that one. Another one which had a DVD release several years ago from Synapse is coming out from Japan, which is Horrors of Malformed Men. And that is coming out again. That's multi-region. So UK, US, Canada. Got a new restoration from the camera negative. It's got some commentaries and some interviews. I don't know how much of this, I don't have the Synapse release, so I don't know how much of this is carried over or not, and how much of it is new. But still, it's always, I love some of these Japanese sort of cult films too. And Arrow's released a lot of ones I wasn't really too familiar with, so it's been great kind of discovering those as they release them. Another one they released is Day of the Jackal, which has a lot of people pretty excited because I don't believe it's actually been out yet. Now, that is a US Canada only release, I believe, because it's already been out in the UK. A lot of people have been asking for it, I think, for several years now, so it's kind of cool that they're putting that one out. And I think it's actually a perfect fit for the label. Sometimes movies like that or movies like Ronin may seem a little out of place, but actually, they are, even though they're technically sort of A-list productions from when they were done, they sort of really have more of a cult following than a sort of mainstream following. So I think it's a perfect fit. So that's actually a cool announcement. Interesting one that they announced, because I didn't realize it was even out of print, but they're doing a UK, US, Canada release of The Baby. Now, The Baby was released already by Severin, and in the specs, it's not listing that there was like a new transfer done, so I don't know whether or not that's just something that Severin just no longer has the rights, and so Arrow's releasing it. So I'm not really sure, but that's, if you haven't picked it up yet, then that's obviously one to get, because that's a bizarre film. Again, these are all their September releases. I think, I'm not sure if they've announced all the release dates yet. Usually they're like, I think mid to late September. I don't think they're all coming out on the same day. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what their October releases are next month. And not sure how many of you have tried to jump on the Severin Films website to take advantage of their sale and get your pre-order in for Combat Shock, but they've been having some website issues. I guess they were getting quite a lot of traffic, so there was a lot of slowdown, and there was also an error in their shipping. If you place an order that's sort of over $100, you're supposed to get free shipping, but shipping was still coming up. They have announced that they are going to reimburse people who were getting that. I was one of them. and that the website is running slow. It was really bad last night because I was trying to log on and you constantly had to refresh pages and everything. Eventually got my order in after trying for quite a long time, but it is up and running a lot smoother now. It's still a little slow in loading pages, but at least it is running. So just be a little patient with them. They have plenty of copies, so it's not a matter of running out of Combat Shock. But my thing too is I wanted to grab a lot of older titles that I had not grabbed yet, and I really wanted to get those now so that going forward, it's like, okay, I already got those older titles, and for Severin, I can just concentrate on the new stuff as it comes out. I was kind of doing a lot of that lately because I swear it seems like every company has had a sale. Kino has had like several sales over the last couple months, and which, by the way, if you're looking into Kino, cool thing about them is that they now that they are doing website sales so often, like I tend to wait on titles until they go on sale on their website because they get pretty cheap. I mean, I've gotten so many Kino sales within the last, this year alone. It's been pretty amazing. Scream Factory had a sale recently that I was able to get a couple titles that I missed out on before. Criterion has a sale coming up. I know, a couple times a year they do have the 50% off sale off their website, but July should be the Barnes & Noble 50% off Criterion titles, which of course runs the month of July. To my knowledge, that's still on, which is great on one end, but at the same time, it's like, man, that it adds up fast. It's just like money, money, money. But I swear, I've been shocked by how many movies I've actually added to my collection this year alone because of all these wacky sales. Like, I was actually kind of shocked when I was sort of looking up how many I've gotten over the last like 6 months. It's like, that's just nuts. That's it for this episode. I'm sure there'll be more announcements because I swear it seems like every couple hours there's a new announcement of something. If you haven't jumped on the Severin sale, I'd recommend it. I think the Kino sale actually is still going on too, so head on over to their site and grab a hold of a couple titles. And let me know what you think of some of the new Arrow titles that are coming out. I'm really excited about their announcements next month, though. That should be exciting. So that's it for this episode, and I will see you next time.